Welcome to BQ Prime. I'm Hiral Daria. Overall, it's been an interesting day of trade and an interesting expiry. Though no major volatility is what we've seen, we have managed to remain in the green for most part of the day today. And it seems the expiry is ending around levels of 17,100. To discuss more, joining us on the show is Hemen Kapadia. Hemen, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Very good afternoon to you here. Thank you for having me.
Remain overall, it seems we are ending expiry above, around that 17,100 level. What's the sense that you pick up from here? Because majority part of the day, we've still, stayed positive.
Well, frankly speaking, Hiral, it's been a breath of fresh air finally because we've been down and out, battered for a long time, and now things are just about stabilizing. And a few interesting things. We've been in this range, Hiral, between 16,850 and 17,200 for almost 10, 11 trading sessions. And we've had call writing at 17 to 17.1. Then we've had put writing at 16,860. So we've been tightly bound in that range. And now I think the first technical green shoots are emerging. 17,055 was the cash market Nifty resistance level. We're at 17,091 now. So assuming we close about 1755 today, we'll have to see what the exact closing average comes in at. Small positives. The hourly charts have signaled a crossover buy as far as some of the mechanical indicators, Hiral, and even the daily chart, some of them have indicated. Yes, and the bank Nifty is showing a little bit more strength. So frankly speaking, fingers crossed, it looks a recovery is around the corner. Let's see how things pan out. But above 1700, I think we'll see a pleasant surprise. And it wouldn't be a shock if we see 17,550, if we sustain above 17,200. And if today's closing is anything to go by, I think that's the first baby steps have been taken for that.
Right. So, Hemen, would it be right to say that the recovery that we are seeing today is not a result of short covering, number one? And two, if you have to start looking at the April series as well, and in April, if we surpass those 17,200 levels, then we would see a trigger which could actually lead to a major short covering rally in Nifty in the month of April.
I think so. And frankly speaking, some of the stocks we've had some delivery markings also. So yes, I agree. Short covering, yes. But just one point here, we've been hovering around the 16,850, 900 level for the past three trading sessions. So I believe if you were a FNO trader or a HNI, you probably would have booked either some profits or you'd have rolled over. So I have a feeling, yes, definitely FNO, short covering. But one small example. Last week, Reliance Industries saw a huge volume of 1.5 CR. Normally, that doesn't happen. And 72% was delivery marking and at lows. So there are a few, and there've been a whole plethora of, block deals in many stocks. That's why we've seen FI figures come in more positive sometimes. So frankly speaking, if at supports, you are seeing block deals, you're seeing volumes happening, delivery markings. So I think this is going to exacerbate the short covering that you rightly mentioned. And we are seeing some more fillip in the market. So I believe this time the rally might just surprise, the recovery might surprise. It doesn't seem to be a flash in the pan.
Right. Simultaneously, how are you seeing Bank Nifty as well? Because clearly the anticipation was that there will be volatility in today's session. On the higher side, we've seen sizable OI, which was building up at 40,000 call strike, which probably would be acting as an immediate resistance. While on the downside, we were seeing 39,000 put strike, which was acting in as a support. Seeing today's movement, what you picking up?
Well, we are dangerously close to 40,000 Hiral. Okay, we have this 10 minutes left. If we had half an hour more or an hour more, and we were above 40,000, I think the calls that you mentioned, that would have led to a run, and we would have seen a sharper bounce. Having said that, yes, now we just have to see how the build-up is in the new series. Today is the monthly, weekly, and quarterly important series. So yes, 40,000 has been, you're absolutely bang on. We've been struggling, we've been trying, we haven't been able to work on 40,000 decisively. But if today's action is anything to go by, Friday is the last week, a day of the week, so weekly charts will remain here. So if we close above 40,000 on Friday for the Bank Nifty, which I think is a possibility. And cash market, we've seen volume, and PSU banks. I mean, most of them are not even in FNO. Here you have maybe Canada State Bank or whatever, but you see UCO Bank, you see Union Bank, you see Karur Vyas. I mean, so many of these public sector banks have seen volume spikes. Now that augurs well. So I have a feeling that 40,000 could be a possibility being taken out, and that would open the doors for a further upside.
Excuse me. And overall, if you see for the PCR, interestingly, in the March series, we've seen a very narrow range of the PCR from say 0.92 to 1.03. What is that indicating?
See, I think there's a distinct lack of participation here. That is also somewhere reflecting in this. And we have a lot of tinkering. We saw some in the finance bill. We saw some additional burden on if you're selling options and stuff. And if you notice this time the VIX, okay, we saw one spike to 17 and a half, but VIX has been subdued below 14 consistently here. And if you have a moves in Nifty on such low VIX, I mean, that frankly speaking doesn't make sense. And if you have a VIX which is below 13, 14, I mean, we were below 13 for quite some time. I mean, the market should have held better. So there have been conflicting signals, like you mentioned, the PCR, very valid point. Even the VIX is reflecting, I wouldn't say unnatural, but maybe slightly strange behavior.
Right. So that's with regards to Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. What's the setup looking like in terms of IT majors as well as the IT index? Because that's something which is worrisome. You have IT results also, which will be around the corner soon. What are trends indicating?
Firstly, we tend to pick up a lot of some movement from the Nasdaq. Now that seems better place. Coming back to our Nifty IT index, like you mentioned, Hiral, we are oversold. If you look at the Nifty IT, 27,500 is very strong support. Today we posted a low of 27,639, not very far, and we are giving an upward key reversal today. The closing is ending positive. So we are close to medium term supports, and if we are down before the results, it's a relief. I think everybody discounted IT getting hammered. Spending will come down in the US because of bank problems. I mean, that is a very valid concern, but somewhere that is built in. If you look at the IT index, Hiral, 31,600, we've gone to 27,600. 4,000 points is a lot. So I believe one, we are oversold. Two, we are at supports. A small bounce is probably underway. The setup currently doesn't look very convincing though. We need to wait for a couple of trading. And now, if you look at PCS, Hiral, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 trading sessions, we're in a range between 3095 and 3170. So simply put, either we break 3095 and go to 3000 and below, or we take out 3170 and go to 3240 and 3300. So we're at a cusp. Currently, the setup isn't, frankly speaking, very convincing. Overall situation combined with supports and a better looking Nasdaq, I believe we'll hold.
Right. Hemen, moving to stock specific action, let's pick up an Adani Enterprise. That stock has seen additions of long positions in today's session, and it's the highest in a month. The deliveries also are at a 1 week high for Adani Enterprise. Are you seeing bullish signals on the counter?
Frankly speaking, this has been overdone. The stock is oversold. I think the downside is limited. Even Adani Ports, sorry, you asked me about Adani Enterprise, but even the FNOs, Adani stocks, I think have posted a bottom. I do not believe those bottoms will be broken or tested, at least in the near to medium term. They are solid bottoms, and like you mentioned, I believe there is some resilience coming in. In the cash market, Adani Enterprise volume is higher than the last 8 trading sessions. Technically, things are looking better. So I'd say, I think a lot of hue and cry, which is misplaced. Most of these stocks are going to bounce back. I like Adani Port slightly better than Adani Enterprises, but I agree 1600 looks like holding here, and if that holds, I won't be surprised if we see 2000 earlier in Adani Enterprises. So at this point in time, I'd be more bullish than bearish.
Right. So that's with regards to ports and enterprises. Automobile names, Hemen, are showing some good strength today. Hero Moto, TVS, Eicher, and all of these are seeing long build-ups in today's session. We have auto sales numbers that will start trickling in as well. What should the strategy be?
Uh, Frankly speaking, most of them. Okay, you mentioned Hero Moto, Hiral. 2250, very strong support. Last time we closed below 2250 was 1 year ago, and we've gone to 2246 today and bouncing back. Now,
Hmm.
this is the case with many of the stocks, Hiral. So, yearly lows tested, significant support, oversold, we've been down, and like you mentioned, volume. Now, Hero Moto, the volume is what, 7 lakh today? And last time we saw this volume was on 9th Feb. So
Hmm.
that supports important levels, oversold and higher volume. We need to wait for the delivery marking. But I think what you said makes sense. What those have taken supports, we are looking at a bounce. As of now, it seems more like a dead cat bounce. But nevertheless, downside does appear limited. Next few weeks, I think auto has a propensity to surprise on the upside. Here,
Right. And how would you look at the Reliance Industries, Hemen?
uh, Reliance Industries, I would be more bullish than bearish here.
Hmm.
Like I spoke earlier, 17 March was a Friday, 1.5 crore volumes here, 72% delivery marking. Now, more importantly, those levels have held. If weak hands had bought, we would have broken and gone down. But no, those levels have held. So logic says stronger hands have bought. We've been range bound after that, moving sideways in a symmetrical triangle on the daily chart. I
Hmm.
have a feeling, and volume has picked up today. You have what? You have higher volume today, which is 85 lakhs. Now, this is higher than the last 4 or 5 trading sessions. I have a feeling worst is over. One can go long in Reliance Industries with a stop loss of 2180 for a target of 2370. Looks promising, hasn't delivered yet, but I believe once again, technical green shoots are appearing on Reliance Industries. I think if Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports, they all have weightage on the Nifty here. And if Reliance all move in tandem, I believe better days are coming for the market and Nifty.
Right. Apart from that, Hemen, how are you seeing Marico? Because we did see additions of short positions. Open interest has jumped as well, and the stock has already slipped to a 1 year low. What would you advise someone to do?
I'd say stay away from the time being. Setup, frankly speaking, has gone for a toss either. But we're back to the conundrum.
Mm.
470 important supports. Last time we closed below 470 here was on 20 week ended 21st May 2021. So it's 2 years. And we've come back to 470 again today. Yes, the setup doesn't look good. If I look at the monthly chart here, there seems to be a rounding top, a distribution pattern happening. The long-term charts surely have taken a hit. But
Mm.
if we've taken what 14 weeks to come down and are on your multi-year supports, I'd say wait, don't do anything. If you do take a strategy, it's a sell on bound. But frankly speaking, FMCG does not behave like normal stocks here. Sometimes the negative technical do get digested a lot more easier than other sectors here.
Right. So, Hemen, apart from these, any stocks that come to your radar with someone to look at from a Friday perspective?
Uh, I would say, there's even something like a Metropolis Lab. There is something like a SBI cards, and even in SBI itself. Now, looking at the bank Nifty, frankly speaking, here the private sector banks are better placed. But
Mm.
SBI has come off from 565 to 505 in just 4 weeks. Now, that's quite a lot for a blue chip stock. I believe in oversold situation, one can either sell the 490 puts or go vanilla futures long with the swing low of 505 as a stop loss. So, one can play something like a State Bank. And like I said, even ICICI Pru looks a little bit of, it's showing a little bit of promise, and SBI cards here.
Right. And my last question coming to you is, now that we have the provisional closing rates, it's interesting to see how Nifty has ended above 17,100. 17,115 is the provisional closing on Nifty, and 40,006 is the provisional closing in terms of Bank Nifty. And we've ended at the day's highest levels as well. What would this actually mean from a Friday trade? I know we have to keep into consideration it's a truncated week, and there will be a 2 day global market impact that we have to consider as well. But at least from an India perspective, what does it look like now?
Setup has shown promise here, and I totally agree with you. Truncated week, and we have 2 more holidays next week. So, it's a bit confounding. I'll digress just a wee bit. The Dow Jones has made a short-term bottom. The indicators have turned positive.
Hmm.
So the threat of Dow falling off the cliff, at least in the short to near medium term, have receded. Coming back to our markets, I believe Bank Nifty is better placed. Nifty closing above 1755, 17055, short covering or not, is technically a good sign. We seem to be heading upwards. My only fear is, we've seen a few bouts of positives and then the weekend ends with a sell-off. So if we sustain these levels on Friday, Hiran, I'd say we are heading higher. And if I've seen Adani Enterprises, I've seen Reliance Industries, I've seen some of these stocks, I have a feeling the Nifty is set to cross 17,200 somewhere either towards the end of next week or after that. Things are just beginning to look up.
Absolutely. That's what the signals that we're picking up so far from the data. Thank you, Hemen,
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us on the show and wishing you and the viewers a happy Ram Navami in advance as well, and enjoy the truncated week as well. But overall, if you see in terms of markets, clearly a closing above the 17,100 level, 17,115 is what we are staring at so far on a provisional basis, which is a 1% up support coming in. Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports, Aisha Motors, JSW Steel, as well as Hero Moto. Apart from that, there was pressure on the UPL, Bharti Airtel, Asian Paints, Reliance Industries, as well as a Cipla. An interesting move is what we saw on a Bank Nifty as well. In fact, again, the last half an hour of trade actually saw Bank Nifty really shoot up from lows. Around 39,609 was the day's lowest levels. From there, we've ended at around 40,006. So that's a good closing level to achieve in terms of Bank Nifty as well on expiry day. Overall, the advanced decline ratio, all the Bank Nifty components have ended in the positive, and there was zero decline so there as well. So it's an interesting move to pick up. Moving from there on, if you see in terms of broader markets as well. Again, there was good performance coming in on that front. In terms of individual names, that's going to be interesting to see in terms of counters, which actually saw the needle moving today. Overall, you had counters like Nasdaq, which was a top gainer, 20% up move, Suzlon, NBCC. In fact, NBCC already had an order win and a 14.5% up move coming in on an NBCC. You had a Cochin Shipyard, which saw some smart moves in today's session of trade. Symphony was a downer. You had the South Indian Bank, which ended with cuts of around 12 to 13%, as well as if you talk about BCG, which ended with cuts of around 20%. So overall, a lot of stock-specific action. Bajaj Hindustan, interestingly, saw gains of around 9.5% in trade today. So clearly, a lot of stock-specific action is what we've seen. There was some bit of strength that was building in, but it's going to be interesting to see because it does not seem to be an uptrend that is actually on the back of short covering. Now, once we cross those 17,200 kind of levels in terms of April series, that's when probably we will see a major trigger with regards to a short covering rally that could come in. And that is something which could take us higher as well. So it's going to be an interesting move in terms of Friday session as well, because the month is a truncated month. Every weekend is a long weekend almost for the first 3 out of the 4 weekends of April are long weekends. So let's see how markets react to that. But overall, a good day of trade is what we've seen in today's session. That's all that we have. Thank you for watching and enjoy your holiday tomorrow.